Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone watching from home, and welcome back to the Lazer Grand Arena 2025. We are here with yet another quarterfinals matchup here in the second weekend of LGA. This is the concluding weekend of the tournament as we go from quarterfinals all the way to grand finals this weekend. A lot of matches ahead of us and these two players, Welter and aknzx, for this quarterfinals matchup. We also move into double elimination this weekend, so the winner of this gets the prize of the winners semifinals and playing Xylus in that matchup. The loser of this match drops down to losers bracket round 1 to play Emrek. I'm Dio. I'm joined by Sad Shiba for this cast. Good morning.
Good morning, Dio. As morning as it really is for you, with my sleep schedule, I can imagine we're probably both equal levels of tired. But no, that being said, still a matchup with really high stakes. Two players of pretty similar caliber, at least from what we know. Welter and aknzx, both really formidable on aim, on double time, on hard rock. But I think there are some things to separate. I think Welter's general results on the last week would kind of imply that he's a lot more well-rounded, a bit more consistently speaking. It depends on a lot of factors, but I think regardless, these guys have two very scary opponents to be worried about in their next match, whether they win or not. Who would you be more afraid of? The best player in the world or the guy that beat the best player in the world? You tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's up to them, really. I mean, that being said, I think these guys still want nothing more than to have a comfy start into this bracket stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, right, who are you more afraid of? Are you afraid of Emrek or the guy who beat Emrek, right? Xylus, I think, played that match strategically as good as possible. So going up against somebody who understands the format very well and knows how to use it to their advantage on this format is potentially scarier than going up against a better player, because we've already seen how it can result in a win, even against somebody who on paper, I think the vast majority of people would favor. Now, as we get into this match, though, a couple of bans and protects coming through already. Nomad 3 ban for aknzx, so no Suicune map, unfortunately, this time around. But does make sense into Welter, somebody who I think is a little bit more well-rounded in terms of gimmick skill sets. Things like the Nomad 3, tech maps in particular as well for Welter. Very, very good for him. And then the Nomad 2 ban for Welter here up against aknzx, but then protecting the DT2 for himself. aknzx protecting the DT1, as we talked about earlier. Both of these players very strong on double time, on speed, stamina, all of that. And then the Hard Rock 1 ban for aknzx and the Laser mod ban for Welter, not wanting to deal with the depth mod this weekend on Altitude Remix. It's a little bit more accessible than Freeze Frame that we had last weekend, but it is still very tricky and very novel for a lot of players. So not too many people wanting to opt into the extra practice for that map, and instead, Welter banning it out and first picking into the Hard Rock 3 Lawn by Masayoshi Oishi.
Yeah, solid bans and pick stages coming through. We've still got Jean Downs coming out, so that's going to be a banger that we could look into in the future. Switcher is also still around. And these protects are a little bit surprising, I'd say. I think although they both contain similar mechanical skill sets, they are still very different. One of them is very high approach rate, very much a rapid, high reaction time kind of test that aknzx is honestly a big fan of. And Mythology's End, a bit more on the contrary, despite still having some heavy speed. You know, it'd be some old style, high stamina with some old unconventional stream and aim patterns. So those protects are going to be interesting to watch, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that be a really exciting clash between them here. But with this opening pick here coming through, L1 Hard Rock 3, this one is a very strong consistency test. You have a lot of these very casual, I don't want to say casual, very consistent alt flow patterns, kind of hybridy as well. You've got some wiggles, you've got some snaps. It is a very typical consistency alt map.
Yeah, on Hard Rock, the aim control and the spacing on the flow patterns just gets all that more extreme, as both players still holding on to the full combo. We saw some very good scores in Emrek versus Xylus last night on this map, and some solid scores in general on this map so far this weekend. Both of these players looking to replicate some of those higher scores so far. Only about a third or a quarter of the way in. There goes the first break from Welter, actually, during the first KI time. So not the best of starts here, as now aknzx off to the races. Does have the combo lead. Accuracy still in Welter's favor by about 1%, but that combo lead is bearing fruit right now in terms of the score lead. Only up about 25k, but that's still a 25k score lead in his favor.
Bit more still difficulties come up towards the end of the Ki time. aknzx has a huge combo lead, and generally speaking, combo advantage isn't the most valuable asset you have in this tournament, but still, this is very, very high. And considering accuracy is not too far away, it's really, really sweet here for aknzx to hold on that full Ki, and that's going to give him a very solid advantage, gaining up through 50,000 score now in his favor. Accuracy, a little more to be desired, but definitely not a serious pain point until that combo game starts to become more apparent in favor of Welter. Whether or not that'll be the case, we'll have to wait and see. aknzx is actually passed this map with flying colors so far. Welter, although dropping that combo game, still has a really strong accuracy, proving he is no slouch. Maybe just a minor slip up, but there is the final first drop of blood coming out from aknzx combo game wise, and this is where Welter needs to really punish here as it's starting to build up. Combo game is starting to climb and climb, not long now until he's going to start getting close to eclipsing that top combo that aknzx had in his possession, and that second break is going to make things even more difficult as the Ki time ramps up. Welter is going with no holes barred, no stones unturned going into this next section.
Yeah, and there's another break to come through for aknzx, and now Welter is in full control, still has that % accuracy lead, but also has a pretty solid combo lead, almost 800 combo ahead of aknzx there, about 750 right now, and keeping that score lead moving towards his side. He'll see exactly what is going on here at the break. Does need to hold on a little while longer to extend this score lead as much as possible. For those just joining us who aren't familiar with the format, it's cumulative score across 2 maps that gives you a set win. So as much score as possible needs to be built up for Welter here, but there's the miss. Over aims one of those patterns near the end of the map. It is traded by aknzx though, so this score lead probably going to stay put right around 50k. It's not a big score lead for a first pick, but it is a score lead nonetheless. So Welter, off to a decent start here, is going to win his first pick with 3 seconds left on the clock. Another couple of breaks come out for aknzx and jump the score lead up to about 62,000 there. Again, very good scores for both of these players. 840k for Welter, 880k for aknzx on that map. But it's not a huge score lead for Welter on this first pick, right? And so you can see at the top of the screen there, we have the score lead displayed for Welter. We have 0-0 still on the board. And on the right, you can see Hard Rock 2, the first pick for aknzx, going to be the second map in this set. Whoever has more cumulative score, the end of this second map will win set 1 and put a point on the board. That is what you need to be thinking about during this match and throughout all these matches during the weekend. Is with this format, it's not about winning a single map, it's about winning across 2 at a time, and that can make for some very interesting strategy later on into the match. We may talk about some of that, but for now, it's just a first pick for aknzx on the other open Hard Rock map, this Hard Rock 2. And so far, looking very solid here. A couple of breaks for Welter, as aknzx still holding on during the precision flow aim hybrid mechanics and a little bit of kind of gimmicky flow aim in this map by Nick.
Yeah, this one mapped by Nick. A TWC 2024 original from Sparks A, and a really nice song, honestly. Has a few of those little sweet Toho aspects that we know and love all too well, and so far so good for aknzx onto this map. I think the big question mark we have with this matchup really was that if you were basing off the stats before alone, you would very heavily favor Welter on the majority of the maps in this pool, but one thing that you really have to be concerned about when you're against a player like aknzx is that absurd skill ceiling. aknzx is very well known to be very exploitative of those 5-star rating pools, a really strong high star rating player, and it, generally speaking, gains a lot more versatility the higher the star rating on the pool goes, and he's been proving that pretty well right now. That number 3 being super close was already one thing, making the opening pick for Welter only a 60,000 score gap is very much a good opening for him to capitalize on this next map, and so far he's making this very close, but these misses coming up now might change the tables now. Welter, although having this being picked against him, is a very formidable Hard Rock player, and so this being something that is very much in his comfort zone, he knows this how to play it all too well. And with that slipper from Akins, it might be divine punishment coming through here now from Welter, as the score lead is now slowly shrinking from Akins back into the favor of the Russian hard rock specialist, as that 62,000 score lead is becoming much more of a pain point as we get only 30 seconds left of the map. It seems already that it's all but over.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Akins, this pick just not going to do enough damage, I don't think. Even if we see a break, well, there's a break from Welter. Let's see if there's enough time left. It's 20 seconds on the clock, and combo for Atkins. Is there enough time for him to bring this back up above 60k? It's coming, but it's coming pretty slowly.
My goodness.
10 seconds left and 30k on the score lead. Another break to come through for Welter. That might just be enough. Is there enough time? Is there enough objects here at the end of the map? The object density. There's another break for Welter. No, you can't miss there, Welter. And there it is, the break for Welter at the end. 3 in a row to clutch up for Atkins, holding combo at the end where Welter could not, to win by 69,000 points, just 7k over what he needed to clutch out set 1 and take the point in the first set by 7k. Massive clutch there at the end of the map for Atkins, and a fumble from Welter honestly broke 3 times in the last 30 seconds of the map and gave over the score lead.
Oh man, Atkins got the resolve, brother. That was a very difficult ending to hit cleanly. So cleanly, in fact, to not drop a single 100 at the very, very end. That's just beautiful from Atkins there. And yes, you can give some credit to the fumbling of Welter there, but honestly, most players do slip up on that ending section. So to see Atkins overcome that deficit, just barely by 7,000 points, but doing so while holding on to the hardest part of the map, with no accuracy drops, which is the biggest fear point of a map like this, is really, really impressive. So a great clutch from Atkins to start this off, bouncing back hugely there, and thankfully clutching his own pick just enough to win that opening set. That's Hard Rock 3 and Hard Rock 2 eliminated, with Hard Rock 1 being banned by Atkins. So already, Welter's most notorious mod strength is out of the picture entirely, and Atkins will start off the second pick with a hidden 2.
Yeah, this hidden 2 is, it's real difficult. I am a little surprised to see this after the Nomad 3 ban for Atkins, but we do see as well the LM ban for Welter, banning out Altitude Remix. So this being the 3rd low pro trait map in the pool, and the only one left up. Apparently Atkins maybe has sunk some time into this map, I have to guess, because this is extremely difficult low AR reading here. Mapped by Fiery Rage for LGA 2025. It's really, really tricky. There's a ton of overlapping patterns, and sometimes on hidden those can be a little easier than on Nomad, even on low approach rate, but these ones are definitely not meant to be easier. You can see the changing cursor velocity required for these patterns. You can see them stick on top of each other for an extra note and then continue moving afterwards. You can see them change the shapes in which you are meant to hit these patterns as well. Just all over the place, these constant changes in everything you are meant to do while mimicking the same shape is meant to throw players off and is so difficult to read. But Atkins has been perfect so far in this map, and Welter has, quite understandably so, struggled at the beginning of this map to gain some footing here on this hidden 2.
Fire is a sly man for making a map like this. Goodness me. Finally, first blood is dropped there from Atkins. This combo game, full combo, having built up nearly halfway through the map, is out of the picture, but still, Welter evidently really struggling on this one. You can see the difference of practice here. Atkins is prepared and very much more comfortable. If I was to be honest with you, I would compare this match on paper to be complete gamble, complete toss-up. Both of these players I would consider equally capable, if not maybe even slightly favoring Welter, but this is where practice can make perfect. This is where improvement can matter so much at a time like this, and with the break coming through, Atkins is very happy with the advantage he's building up here. 130,000 score and climbing now, as this could be an astronomical lead coming through. I think the common consensus with the scores that we see in the Score V3 that's used for LJ and other laser tournaments is that scores, generally speaking, are higher but a lot closer. So if you are able to gain such a big advantage like 145k, that is going to be huge in your odds here, especially when you're against Welter. He's going to be forced his hand to roll a tech map to try and dominate back, or he's going to throw away the set. Do you really want to throw away a set and make yourself 2 down? I don't know. Welter's got a really fairly precarious position to be worried about here. He's either going to be picking a throwaway to ban out Akins in the future sets, or he's going to have to try and go do or die into one of his signature tech maps, which honestly I think is his best bet.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw away a map here, but at this point, it might be ideal to throw away a map. This is an over 200,000 score lead now for Akins, who has just completely dominated this map from start to finish. Not in terms of the combo lead the entire time, but in terms of the accuracy, 97 almost for Akins to 91, almost 92 for Welter. That is a 5% ACK lead for Akins, along with a huge combo lead right at the start. 440 max combo for him, 170 max combo for Welter. I mean, you can just see the difference in the map stats, right? 4100s to 21, 170 combo to 440, 34 misses to 11, right? The accuracy, the combo, the miscount, all in favor of Akins, and it generates a massive 220,000 score lead for Akins. Welter, though, I think is not giving up in this set. He is picking something that on paper should be very good for him. Chronokinesia by Project G. This is a cut version of this song. It is 3.5 minutes of consistently difficult slider tech, along with some really tricky flow aim. And this map by Fairy and Nuge changes how it is mapped very, very often throughout this pick. So it's not just one consistent type of slider tech mapping. It is a bunch of different types that are all consistently difficult, and hitting those transitions into the next section and adjusting to every single part of this map can be really tricky because of that, right? You can't just be good at a few types of patterns in tech and be solid on this map. You have to be good at basically everything. Welter is a tech specialist, but is he good enough at it to make up a 220,000 score lead gap and win the set?
I mean, there are loads of notes to worry about on this map. First and foremost, yes, the difficulty in the difficult consistency on this one. Although the patterning, although the specific skills are slightly different every single time, what matters is how often you are hit, and that is all the time. This reminds me of Lifelong Disintegration Ray from Ost World Cup, where it is just non-stop action. Whether or not it's the same, it doesn't mean jack. You still have to be consistently on your toes and ready to hit this, and so far, not so good here for Welter. He's made this a very even combo game disadvantage for Akins as he's building, and another miss is going to make that even more of a pain point here. It's important to note that accuracy is still very much the same, and early on, it's not going to make the score in the combo game that much impactful, but later down the line, when numbers start to get really high, if Akins can hold on for long enough, this could be massive. We're already getting close to halfway through, and Welter is struggling here. You're about halfway now as we're reaching it, and Akins' combo is still getting up there, even if the accuracy is still dead even. Last time, these two had a kind of a duo on this No Mod 4, it was against different opponents, but Welter was the one to have exceeded just over 200,000 score. And when you look at that, you need just over 200,000 score to overtake, but the stories are not matching up here, as although Akins has gone down and dropped a little bit of accuracy, it's gone to dead even. You don't want dead even if you're Welter right now. Another miss from Akins to maybe save his skin as the stream into the next transition is coming through. Much more snappy in this next section with some extra goofy sliders and triples and doubles here to make you a little bit more stressed, a little bit more needed to be sharp, and Welter clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed as he does go down, but so does Akins. In fact, some more misses to follow from both sides. Accuracy going a little bit more though in favor of Welter, but both of these guys are repeatedly missing for Welter. This is not what you want, Dio.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have it be a close map here for Welter, and this pick now is effectively wasted, right? If you do manage to generate a score lead here, it's going to be minuscule, right? It's not going to be all that big. This may have well been a pick that you save on the back burner, maybe for a set 5 potentially, where smaller score leads can still matter. Not in this set where you're down 200k, and for Welter now, this pick is effectively just thrown away. He no longer has access to this for the rest of the match, and it doesn't win the set for him this time around either. So I hate to say it, but this is a mispick from Welter, just not going to be able to generate a big enough score lead on this at all. And really, he would have needed, 800k or so to be set on this map, right? Akins is going to be close to 580k by the end of this as the timer runs down, the clock strikes midnight here, and yeah, you would have needed over 700k, or sorry, over 800k to actually win this map and win the set along with it as Welter. 40k is not a bad score lead, but it's not nearly enough. And now you're in a pretty tight spot. You've lost one of your decent picks in this No Mod 4. You just don't have access to it anymore. You've lost another one of your good picks in the Hard Rock 3 that you no longer have access to. You need to pick very carefully as Welter here in order to win 2 sets in a row and still have maps left that are good for you in set 5. Unfortunately, he's kind of on the back foot, so he doesn't have that kind of leeway, right? I think Akins is in a much better spot here because if he really wants to, he can let Welter pick good maps in these next 2 sets and pick other maps that he is bad at in response to trim down the pool to only his best 2 remaining maps against Welter for set number 5 to guarantee that he wins even in set 5. So this is a really good spot for Akins, and Welter, if you are going to win this, you need to go to set 5, which means every single map left in the pool has to get played. So you're just going to have to pick everything that is good for you right now, right? You need to win these first 2 sets to get there and hope that in set 5 the maps are still good enough that you can generate a score lead. Into the hidden 3 we go this time. Egoist by Shogo Nomura by Megafan. This is Rhythm. This is 176 BPM Rhythm Tech. Not a lot of slider difficulty in this map, but a ton of changing beat snap divisor, stop and go patterns, and a little bit of aim control on the wiggly streams to go along with it.
Man, I mean, the more I look at these scenarios, the more I'm kind of in love with this format. So much variation, so much possibility in a format like this. And Welter, although so much on the back foot, so many different ideas and options for both players. I can't wait to see it unfold. But we need to see Welter unfold the issues he's been dealing with first to see that come through, because he's unfortunately not had the best start in these 2 sets, and this time things need to change. With this hidden 3 coming through, like Dio said, not necessarily too tech heavy, but this is very much more of a wiggly aim control, rhythmic map where you've got a lot of stuff going on consistently at varying rhythms, and your accuracy and your consistency is what is going to be really valuable. Going to stay as awake and activated as possible to be prepared for these sudden off-rhythm patterns, and so far it's looking pretty decent, but Akins is really keeping up here. He's not letting Welter get too far away from his reach here. Only a light combo game advantage in favor of Welter. Accuracy also a very nice double S so far for him. 98.7 for Akins, still very much respectable, and only 28,000 being gained here in favor of Welter. This map still really matters, and if you're really Welter, you're hoping for a strong advantage, because I wouldn't be surprised if Akins either A, eliminates one of your better maps and just gives the set, or just dominates you in a map like the DT1, which honestly is most likely going to be the take if this is a close deal, because I don't think the ceiling is going to be high enough for Welter to be as consistent as a player like Akins, who thrives in these high ceiling events, because this map is still not proving to be the outcome we want if you're a Welter fan, as he is making this too close for comfort, and you need so much bloody comfort going into this next set, and you're not getting it so far. Accuracy, although in your favor, combo game practically dead even, and it's not that much in your favor. You need it more to scale. You need Akins to collapse going into this latter minute, but it doesn't seem like it's happening. Akins is really awake today. He's playing really, really well to keep up.
There's another couple of breaks to come through for Akins now. Welter does have this combo lead, is on 99 accuracy. Ak matters a lot in this scoring system, right? You have relatively close scores, but with an accuracy lead like this, you can still generate a pretty solid score lead, especially with more consistent combo than your opponent. It doesn't have to be super high combo, it just has to be more consistent. We come up on 30 seconds left on the clock. It's just, again, pretty solid for Welter. Up to now 83k in this map, and holding on to a pretty solid score lead. Another break comes through for Akins as well here near the end, and Welter now going to be the owner of a solid 100,000 score lead. Even a map like this would not have been enough after the hidden 2, but this is a very good score lead for Welter going into the next map. And I think as Welter, for this next pick, you're just praying that Akins throws out a map that he is good at, and loses the set overall, right? Doesn't beat you by more than 100K. If he does pick one of Welter's maps here, like a map that Welter would win on most of the time, I think that's actually the ideal scenario for Akins, to just trim down the pool and not have any picks left for Welter near the end. But no, he is going to go with protected DT1 here. Andor no Hako by Uplift Spice, mapped by Dada, custom map for LGA here. It's super fast. AR 10.5 DT aim, 293 BPM and 8.4 stars, with some bursts in this map as well. And I do want to say, because we're talking about skill cap for both of these players, Welter's skill cap is not to be underestimated. Even down 2-0 here, with this kind of a pick, I think that breathes a little life into the game. Welter pretty recently won a tournament I hosted where Grand Finals was 9.5 stars. He had to beat Secret Box and Nineric to win that tournament in Grand Finals. So he may not be in a lot of players' minds as one of the highest skill cap, best tournament players in the game right now, but he certainly has that kind of potential in him. And actually, there's a couple of misses here at the start for Akins, who I think had some technical difficulties or maybe lost tablet grip or something, because he just stopped playing for about a half second there. And Welter, now big combo lead. You can hear it kind of double tapping through some of these bursts, but it's 293 BPM. Who can blame him? And the accuracy is still in the lead for Welter by about 2%, I think, in part because of that sequence of just not playing a little bit there for Akins. And now Welter up 300 combo, up 2% in accuracy, up 90K score on this map. This was the protected pick for Akins as well. So again, Welter, you don't need to win this map. You just need to not lose by over 100,000. There's the break for Welter to come through, but we're already over halfway through the map, Shiba, and this is looking dire for Akins, who may have just mispicked his own protect at the start of the match, because now, I mean, there's another break for Welter. Is there enough time, though, for it to go over 100K in Akins' favor?
Accuracy is really the big issue here for Akins. I mean, you could lay some excuses and say that issue might have been to blame, but regardless of that, doesn't matter. What's happening has happened, and yes, this could have backfired horribly here for Akins. It depends on this ending here and whether or not advantages can contain, because you only got 20 seconds left and there's still plenty of density, and Welter is slipping, but you need 100,000 score and there's simply not enough time left. 5 seconds left to go, and it's only going to be 20K for Akins to gain, and that's not going to be enough. Welter will take the set and honestly will be rewarded for that return. If there was one thing to credit from his Dio Bazaar Winter Singles that we saw last time playing, his tenacity was really up there, even under such a big disadvantage up against the grand finalist in Eric in that loser's bracket side. He still made it up and still managed to climb back, and this might be an example of that tenacity finally coming through. He's spitting out that blood and continuing, he's fighting on and winning that DT1, ending up locking away one of Akins' strongest maps. Could flip this back, and we may or may not have an actual series, Dio.
We may have a series on our hands, as now we move into set number 4. Right now, the map score is actually 3-3 between these two players. In a normal best of 11, we'd be tied up 3-3. That's somewhat how it feels here. But for Welter, I think you're still on the back foot a little bit. The map's left Nomad 1, Hidden 1, DT2, DT3. You want to save something good for set 5, but do you leave up your protect for set 5? I think you're kind of forced to pick it right now as Welter, because you don't want to just leave your, in theory, best pick to maybe not even get played, right? But no, it's going to be Akins. Sorry, it's Akins' pick right now. Forgot we switched the order there. It is going to be Hidden 1 for Akins. Did win on the Hidden 2. So I can see this being a solid pick for him. It's not low AR like the Hidden 2 is, and it's not overlap focused like the Hidden 2 is, but it is very density heavy. It's 106 BPM, so plays like double at 210 BPM, and AR 9.2 with incredibly awkward aim the entire time. This whole map is filled with wide-angle jumps, anti-aim patterns where you go from very high spacing to very low spacing right afterwards and vice versa. All of that is really, really uncomfortable. You pair that with a somewhat high 212 BPM and the somewhat low AR 9.2, and it can be really, really tricky to be consistent on something like this on Hidden.
This map is brutal. I mean, I saw it. It's got some of the scariest anti-aim I've seen, man. This is kind of a, generally speaking, Hidden 1 is left for that kind of slot where you have those maps that are a little bit awkward and have difficult aim consistency aspects in them, anti-aim, I guess you could say. And this one has practically a little too much of it. It's some of the peaks in this map are simply absurd. You will get jump scared by some of these notes that you are just not ready to hit, not ready to practice, and you're going to be kind of contorting your wrist trying to hit some of these, in all honesty. But for aknz to have picked this willingly into Welter, considering that Welter himself was quite a big fan of that Egoist pick earlier on, and generally speaking, a pretty decently comfortable Hidden player, all things considered, is really exciting to see. Both these guys are not really pushing, holding back or anything like that, but practice makes perfect, and aknz is clearly proving the fruits of his practice at the moment, as his investment's still working out so far. Solid accuracy for both players, but combo game is what's giving aknz that small 12,000 score lead, as it's now starting to drop down with that miss coming through subsequently. You got plenty of time for us to gain here. It's nearly a 5-minute long map, so many moments of slipping up able to concur, but with this neutral miss, no significant combo advantage to slew the lead here for either player.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at something again, because Welter has missed a lot more than aknz in this map so far. But you notice the score is 16,000 in favor of aknz right now, about a third of the way in or so. Welter has a % accuracy lead on aknz right now. You can see the PP values are the same. There's another miss for aknz now. It was about the same because of the miscount, but now with another couple of misses to come through for aknz, Welter is going to start to pull this score lead back. Not only the combo lead, the accuracy lead now also in his favor. And he is going to start to pull this map towards his side here against aknz, who picks this in the last set before the end here. Set number 4, and Welter is looking better and better on this map, looking to make it 4-3 in the map score and generate a score lead with the first map of set number 4. There is still quite a lot of time left, right? We are actually only halfway through the map or so. Still another 2.5 minutes left to go in this one. But even with a couple of misses for both of them here, it's that accuracy lead that continues doing work for Welter. 1.5% up now. A full 100 PP up, partially because of that accuracy lead, partially because of the miscount, I think, with aknz just dropping a lot more misses during this middle section of the map. Welter will trade one, but aknz doesn't need the misses to go up. He needs some kind of a score lead here to prevent Welter from forcing set 5 at all, right? He wants to make Welter pick one of his better maps here so that it's not left over in set 5. But if he can't force that kind of map out of Welter, then this pick is all for naught, really.
Yeah, you need some significant advantage here, and Welter's not leaving any room at all. Not letting go of the advantage he has so closely in his hands right now. 30,000, 40,000 score, kind of teetering between that 40,000 as both players are exchanging neutral misses, but for aknz, that's not really what you want here. As the latter half is getting about close to its end here, you've got still way too close of a call. And with this being aknz's pick, I mean, Welter, although a little bit more limited in the options that he has, still has plenty of them. I mean, that No Mod 1, most notably, probably going to be a decent pick to go into, especially after a map like this. You could also go into that DT3 if you wanted to, DT2 of the Protect if you wanted to, if you're not saving that for the set 5. But I mean, this is a good situation here for Welter now, although still on the back foot. This advantage that he's gaining slowly but surely could lead to reverse sweep, especially considering that the original set 5 map 3 is a tech-heavy map. A very high in star rating too, perfect for Welter. A player like him would love to be playing a map like this in that situation. Still got more to go, and this is a good start to what could be the start of a comeback of really good proportions here. Welter ending up establishing a 30,000 score lead into the ending of the map. aknz not too happy with this one, unless intended, which you never know, could be the case. is not a good situation for him. He's starting to stare the barrel of the reverse sweep, and the barrel's getting closer and closer to the center of his eyes. He's needing something to change here, and some advantage to flip in his favor. Although good combos from both towards the end, and the spin is going to give them a little extra score. In fact, aknz might even be able to close it in just a little bit, but doesn't mean the fact that 32,000 score is still going to be what gives Welter a good start.
And this kind of a score lead now, only 32k, really makes this next pick tough for Welter, I think. On the one hand, you have to force set 5, right? You're down 2-1. So if you lose this set, the game's over, right? You've lost, you go to loser's bracket, you play MREC later on this weekend. So you really have to win this set, right? And force the set 5. The question then is, which of these maps lets you win the set but is your worst map in set 5 at the same time, right? You need a map that will keep you in the lead, but not be so good that you would have wanted to have it during set number 5. All of the remaining maps are mostly mechanics focused. We do have the DT3 here, 1.35x rate change on dependence intention. That is 176 BPM AR 10.5 DT alt instead. So that is the least straightforward of these maps. The rest of them, Nomad 1 is just Gendarme, and DT2, 1.3x rate change, is the protect pick for Welter here, and what he's going to go with, Mythologia's End by Val0108. Classic map with a bit of a lower rate change than Double Time, only up to 254 BPM on Mythologia's End here, and AR 10.3, OD 9.1. So should feel like a pretty normal DT map, except the patterning in this is a lot more complex than your normal DT2 at the star rating, because this map itself is much higher star rating on Nomad, right? This is a 6-star Nomad 2, really, for a lot of tournaments, which means there's a lot more complex patterning. There's a lot of sliders that you really need to follow. And this map is kind of all about following the sliders to the ends and playing the patterns that come up afterwards from those slider ends, as well as the super high amount of space triples in this map. Both of these players, both Welter and aknz, should be good at this map. Both of them are well-known speed and DT players, so I feel like this map kind of qualifies for what we were talking about, which is a good map for Welter, but one that maybe is not going to be a huge score lead later on into the match in set number 5, as we start off with an early combo break for Welter, an early AK lead as well for aknz, and the early score lead to boot.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by the confidence of this pick, because this is a risk you're taking into against aknz. Already he's gained a really good advantage, and aknz is not showing any signs of slowing down. This is an old-style 2012 map, and still both of these guys in 2025 are shredding this 13 years later with 1.3 times speed adjustment here, and aknz is just proving the fruits of destruction in this first TI time. Still, the full combo of 99.7 aknz time. Welter is freaking out in his timbers as he plays, because seeing that advantage is really, really scary. As you're getting close to the halfway mark, aknz has still not let go of his combo. 4 digits on the combo now for aknz, with not a single combo to have dropped on his side just yet. Welter still climbing with good accuracy to boot. Very clearly not a player to be messed with on a map like this, but when you're against a player like aknz of such absurd mechanical tapping pedigree, you do not want to be too scared of this. You do not want to be too hasteful to be playing this map into someone like him, and he's proving why. That protect may have been an attempt of maybe a set breaker to just get it into the next set early on, and it's been used too little too late, as aknz is proving why you keep this here as his map alone here. Still a full combo for aknz, 1,500 combo with still 99.7 attack. How on earth is aknz still hitting this so beautifully, man? This accuracy is gorgeous, and Welter can do nothing but watch as what's almost certainly now his chances of set 5 being blown away by the Australian speed demon in aknz. Last time he was one of the highest placed players in LGA, I believe, top 4 or top 6, and had a hugely contested match against Zuninen, who went on to get top 3. This is a great performance from him to see why he's still one of the strongest Lazer tournament players in the world.
Yeah, and with a map like this left in the pool, I fear it may have been over regardless of what Welter did. Even if he picked something else and forced set 5, if you get this kind of score lead in set 5 as Akins, I don't know if there's a world where Welter wins, right? You have to claw back over 100,000 score lead on something else in the pool as Welter. Looking like 150,000 now with that break from him as well. Akins is just absolutely demolishing this map, and well, this Protect from Welter, one thing about Protects in this tournament in LGA is your opponent cannot pick your Protect. So it may have been a quote-unquote third ban as a Protect here from Welter, because unfortunately, you know, this is a good score from Welter, but it is 900k for Akins. It is a 170,000 score lead for him on this map, and it is going to be a 3-1 set score victory for Akins at the end of set number 4. And regardless of what the pick was for Welter at the end of this set, I fear this map was going to be the nail in the coffin regardless of when it came up. That score from Akins, just too good to compete with, and he moves on to the winner's bracket semifinals to face Xylus, knocks Welter down to the loser's bracket round 1 to face Emrek in losers.
Yeah, simply put, done and dusted there for Akins. So well done from him. And a great continuation of that stamina and that great performance on that DT2 to cap off the match. And he is going to advance into the winner's bracket semifinals to face Xylus. I mean, like we said at the very beginning of the match, who are you more afraid of? Emrek himself or the guy that beat him? And so I'd like to think Akins is going to be very excited and eager to be facing a player like Xylus, who is in such a high spot at the moment. Welter, although seed 3, the superior seed in this matchup, is going to be fallen to the loser's bracket and forced to face seed number 2 in Emrek himself. And if Emrek this time takes the time to practice the map pool, God knows what that man is capable of against Welter. We'll have to wait and see as the next matches will not be too long. As like we said, this is going to be the concluding weekend of LGA. This is a fast tournament, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, Monday will be the day that you don't see anymore. Sunday's the last day with the grand finals. So, guys, we've got plenty of action to show you guys in the coming few days. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. I've been Shiba, joined by Dio. Dio, any closing words before we end this off?
Yeah, just heads up for when the next matches are. Next one is going to be a loser's bracket round 1 match between Taquito and a Secret Box. That one at 2 UTC Saturday. So if you're in North America, later tonight. If you're in Europe, kind of middle of the night, unfortunately. And if you are in Oceania or Asia, it's going to be tomorrow morning, Saturday morning for you at 2 UTC Saturday for Taquito versus a Secret Box. We are also going to have Xylus versus Akins, I believe, at the exact same time, also going to be going at 2 UTC Saturday based on the schedules on the sheet right now. And then just afterwards, a couple hours later, we're going to have later on in the day, we're going to have a couple other matches on Saturday at times like 15 UTC or so. So stay tuned for all of those matches. As you can see there, Taquito versus Secret Box and Xylus versus Akins at 2 UTC on Saturday. And then Emrek versus Welter in loser's bracket, and Malashevsky versus Flying Tuna in winner's bracket tomorrow at 15 UTC as well. So stay tuned for those matches. Thank you, Shiba, for the cast. Thank you to everyone here for watching. Congrats to Akins and good luck to Welter in the loser's bracket. I've been Dio, he's been Shiba. We'll see you back here 2 UTC Saturday for the next few matches of LGA.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
I watched it fall.